Hi, and welcome to the Snooze Strategists. This is the show where we take a scientific basis to help you work around your energy levels so that you can work less, achieve more, and be healthier. I'm Alex Young, and here we have Ashen, our resident sleep scientist. How's it going, Ashen?
Not too bad. Excited to figure out what we are talking about today.
Well, hopefully we don't have to figure it out on the spot. So for today, we're having a little bit of a look at the bedroom and what are some of those critical changes that you may need to put in place. And we're not talking about rearranging the room. We're not talking about all the things. And, there's a lot of advice out there when it comes to the color of the room, et cetera, and every piece of furniture. But if the goal here is about achieving quality sleep, how do we work in a way that's minimal effort, low cost? What are some key things to keep in mind without a laundry list? So we're really curious to hear, what does science say about what works in the bedroom to improve the quality of sleep? So where do we begin?
Yeah, so we decided not to be designers or the architects and engineers. We just coming from purely kind of scientific medical background. I came up with top 5 tips that I could find, and we'll probably start with the lowest one, and then towards the end of the podcast we'll discuss a bit more in detail about the highest impact tip we can figure out.
Cool.
Number five, first one is smell or the aromatherapy. I know it's a bit of a controversial one, mixed evidence to be honest, but I know some people are quite keen on using lavender oil or different essential oils to calm themselves. And I've been to chemist recently, and I saw like whole shelf full of different sleep sprays and stress and anxiety reducing sprays. So I think it's widely available at the moment, and a lot of people consume them. So I thought it's good to start there, and then we'll build up. So if you have troubles falling asleep, and if you're anxiety prone or quite easily get stressed, using different smells can probably help you to calm down and wind down quicker. Lavender oil is probably the most common one. Chamomile, peppermint, cedar wood, they are used as well commonly. Even though the proper scientific evidence is mixed, I think subjective benefits are probably a bit higher on this one. You can use a diffuser. If not, you can just get a spray and maybe spray on your pillowcase or around your the blanket you use at night. That may provide some assistance to fall asleep.
Okay. Have you actually used these yourself?
I was given a spray by my my wife, but to be honest, I didn't really use it for sleep. I have used it during work, during daytime. I'm not 100% sure whether it's helping, but I think I keep using it because it smells nice. So unfortunately, I didn't use the scientific method to validate whether it works or not. Oh, there you go. Do you have something like that too?
Well,
nice.
My wife as well gave me something to spray. This is ylang. Is that, I don't know how
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
lemongrass. It's a mindful mist. A yoga, Pilates, and meditation fragrant mist scented with pure essential oils to evoke mindfulness and balance. So she gave me this, and it just might spray it around like the office. Every now and again. As I guess as an alternative to lighting the candles and having the other essential oils, but have never tried it in the bedroom. But on the odd occasion, might have like those little heat pillows, and they've got some scent in them, which is nice. And that's more so not for daily, every single day, but it might be just something's on your mind or a bit hard to get to sleep. And it's one of those things that I don't know if it's about it attracts your attention a little bit.
Yeah, true. I think we have a bigger problem that our wives think we are stressed, so we need to figure out something too about that. But
it's very caring though, because we are right. Yeah,
that's right. That's true. Yeah, I think that can be a good starting point. If someone's struggling with sleep, perhaps they have used these sort of essential oils in the past. Maybe give it a shot. I think that's our number 5.
Okay.
The next one is number 4. Use bedroom only for sleeping and any sexual activities, whatever works. So this is actually quite an important step in cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia. The whole idea is if you can't sleep, you try it in the bed, just wake up or kind of get out of the bed, go to your living room, just watch TV or watch your Netflix, do reading. Bedroom and the bed is associated only with sleep. So it's kind of working on your the psychological aspect of the sleep, associate bedroom and the bed just with sleep. So if you usually read on your bed, that's your habit perhaps. Some people it works, they just read and then turn the lights off and you can fall asleep quite easily. But there are some people who struggle with this, so for them I think this is great. Just work or read, do those sort of things outside your bedroom, and then when you're actually tired, jump onto the bed, try to sleep. Half an hour, if you're still struggling, get out, make yourself like worn out a bit by doing some other tasks, and then go back to bedroom to sleep. Might struggle initially, but over time your mind will build that association, bedroom and the bed, with sleep. So I think it's a great step if you're struggling with sleep.
What else are people doing in their bedroom apart from sleeping?
Sleeping and other I guess physical activities. People read, people watch TV. I think some have TVs in bedrooms, probably not great. And I guess having TVs in bedroom can impact in 2 ways. One, the kind of mental alertness, you keep watching and engaging. The other thing, the blue light emission, that can keep you awake as well. Reading, I think it's very common. Working, some people work on the bed. That's not great because you're mentally kind of you're activating your cognition, right? You keep thinking, working on things, so you're not necessarily winding down. I think I'm guilty of playing VR in the bedroom because I was just too lazy to go out. So yeah, I think if you use any I guess your PlayStations or your computer, if you have one there playing games, probably not the place to do that.
Now that you mentioned TV, and because I was thinking like back in the 1980s where you've got a big gigantic CRT TV at the foot of your bed kind of scenario, but now we've had many discussions about digital devices, and you're right, you're being entertained by screens and doing work and email and Netflix and games and everything else. So you're right. And I just reflecting on my own situation, I'd game in the room a little bit and YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and setting those boundaries as well. Work happens in my home office or living room. Bedroom is for my sleeping and relaxation, and quite an easy shift or easy thing for people to do. Right. That takes us to number 3 in our list. I think next one, I thought sound and noise. Once again, you don't have to soundproof your room. We are not going that path. We're coming up with easy, low-cost options. Let's say you're in an apartment complex by the freeway. If it's quite loud and that bothering you, a couple of options you can take. One, I guess easiest one is probably to use some earplugs if you want to, if you prefer that quietness. But I've seen a lot of people, especially recently, listening to ASMR or some sort of relaxation music during the night. I remember back in the day, I was working in hospitals. I have heard people playing ocean wave noises and water flowing, or the forest music. So you can play some sort of relaxation music in the background. That can have 2 impacts. One, it will calm you down. The other one is it can probably you won't hear your car noises or the neighbors partying. It can
True. Yeah.
kind of block out the noises that you don't like. So mentally you don't get like agitated, because if you keep hearing your neighbors arguing or the dogs barking or the cars driving, that
Mm,
can hook you into your kind of attention, and then you keep
that's
thinking
true.
about
Yeah.
that. But if there's whale noises or whatever you play at night, that can, I think, have a different
Mm,
impact on your mind. So those things will probably help you to calm down,
yeah.
and then wind down and go to sleep a bit quicker.
Mm. Cool.
um, so easy one. I guess there are two parts. One, blocking noise using noise cancellation earphones or earplugs,
Plugs.
or
Yeah.
have some sort of background music running on your laptop or the mobile
Mm.
phone.
That's a good one. I find that whenever I'm camping, actually, I'll
Yep.
always sleep with earplugs. Of course, here you've got the sound of birds very early in the
Yeah.
morning, or the sound of other campers just
Yep.
outside your tent. So that actually helps a lot in external environments. I'm
Yep.
lucky enough to not have a noise issue in
That's
the
good.
houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually snoring can be an issue there too. Sometimes you have your bed partner
Mm,
snoring really loud, and that impact you from falling asleep. So that's something to think of. All right, number 2 in our list, the temperature.
okay.
I thought it's right time if you're in eastern states or in Melbourne, Australia. It's getting a bit
Mm,
colder now. Um, Temperature can have, it will play an important role in your sleep. You may not notice, or not. Um,
mm,
some people, like for example myself, I sometimes wake up quite just covered in sweat around like 4 a.m. When you think about that, like, it makes sense how it works, because when you fall asleep, your body temperature would go down about a couple of degrees, and then throughout the night it will slowly go down. About 2 hours before the time you wake up, your temperature would be the lowest, and then it
mm.
eventually will keep coming up, and by the time you wake up, your temperature will be quite close to your normal body temperature. That's why it's important to have regular bedtimes. That's, I think, a whole different podcast, but I think we talked about circadian rhythm and everything. So this is where the regulatory come into play, because
Mm.
2 hours before your usual wake up time, your body have the lowest temperature. Now looking at the external
Okay.
environment, I think that's a different story. We need to have, so the colder room temperature is probably better than the warmer temperature, because if it's too warm, it's hard for your body to get rid of the heat, or get the
Mm,
balancer temperature aspect. um, I think throughout the night, if you can keep the temperature between, let's say, 15.7 Celsius to 19 Celsius, the slightly bigger range, but I think literature varies a bit. You can do a bit of trial and error and see
mm.
what temperature you find the most comfortable.
How do you actually measure the temperature of your room?
Um, I think the most simplest way, probably put some sort of thermostat somewhere, or something to actually measure. But otherwise it can be, let's say, you set your room temperature, if you have central heating or something,
Mm,
you set the temperature to a certain level and see how you feel about that. But otherwise, I guess, just eBay and get something
mm,
to measure your temperature in the room, if that's something really that you're quite bothered by.
mm,
Let's say it's winter months. We know that usually it would be quite cold at night.
mm,
And if you don't heat your room, blankets, great, easy option. If it's colder, socks. There's definitely some evidence suggests when you wear socks, you would probably sleep a bit longer. Um, I think it's about managing internal body temperature. Um, and the other thing, if you have the resources to heat your room, if that's something you usually do, perhaps set the lowest temperature to 15-16 degrees, so it would be warmer than that. Because if it's too cold, so relationship between temperature and sleep, it's like U-shaped. Okay, so if it's too cold, you wouldn't sleep well because it's too cold. It will disrupt. If it's too warm, once again, it will disrupt.
Yep.
So you wouldn't really have good sleep. So I think figuring that sweet spot wise, it's a bit of trial and error. The other thing, if you find it bit warmer, perhaps you can sleep with a leg or an arm out. Usually there are a lot more, when we get rid of the heat, how the body, the palm and the feet are great parts of our body to get rid of heat. So you may experience like sweating on the palm, and so that's part of that. So I know it's a silly thing to say, keep your body arm or the feet outside of your blanket, but that can work for some people. And if it's hotter, I think you probably limit the options you have. Maybe a fan and aircon to make sure there's enough ventilation, even though if it's not too cold. Having that ventilation probably help you to calm down a bit and wind down a bit. Having a warm shower before sleep can be a great way if you don't have a lot of resources to change the temperature in your room. When you have a warm shower, even though you think your body will heat up, it does the opposite. It will get rid of the heat, and it actually reduces the body heat. So it may help you to fall asleep quicker if you have a warm shower and then jump onto the bed to sleep. That can be a quick tool that if that's something you're struggling with, the temperature issues. I know especially women going through menopause, this is an issue that they have during the night, the hot flushes coming in. They can be it's professionally managed with help, but there can be issues around that temperature part. So I feel like this will be a highly impactful tip, getting the temperature right.
Great. What's number one?
All right, the number one. Should we play some drum roll? I'm not sure. That's okay. We'll get there one day. The light. So I think light is number one tip that we can provide to get this environment right. We have talked about light, I think, a few times in our podcast, the impact it has on daytime. Similar impact it will have in nighttime as well. Make sure there's no bright light around when at night. So if you actually have quite high wattage lights in your room, it's really bright, probably not a good idea in your room, in your house in general at night. So lower brightness, the better for physiologically. And there's always safety aspects, so don't just live in entire darkness. There's always, you have to consider the health and safety, but darker or less brighter, the better. And make sure maybe from like 10 to 6, 10 to 4 a.m., you don't use quite bright lights, because even though you don't realize the physiological impact of that exposure to bright light, it can alter how you sleep and the restorative feeling you get from sleep. I personally prefer to have a really dark bedroom, so I usually have thick blinds, so I don't have any other light in my bedroom. I know some people coming from that kind of anxiety, stress background, or some like to have a little bit of light. Figure your sweet spot where that is. If you like to have small light in a corner, that's fine, but I would make sure that it's in a corner of the room, not directly in front of you or near the bed. So keep it as dark as you can. Ideally, get rid of the blue light emitting devices, or don't use them. Those, because then you have to probably make structural changes, right? Change lights, or have proper blackout curtains. That can be slightly different or expensive way to do things. If that's not the path you want to take, I guess cheapest, quickest option, use eye masks. I feel like eye masks are becoming like cars now. You have wide range, but the cheapest one usually should do the job. I think you have quite a fancy one, Alex, from memory. Nice eye mask.
Oh, that's the it's an electronic one that covers your eyes. It heats up. It plays some gentle music, and it has some vibrations, and it's amazing actually. I think it's about $100 off Amazon. We do have the other end of the spectrum, the ones that you would have found on airlines, and so in the old days you've got those flat ones. The kids use those now, and they love it. It helps them. And then I just recently saw there's some other ones on Amazon which have kind of like tubes, so it doesn't put pressure on your eyeballs.
Wow, okay.
But it's like it's got like these little tubes, and then it's got the covering. It does cost about $60 though.
Wow.
But just the very simple ones you find in a pharmacy that to cover the eyes, it's sufficient.
Excellent. And those are our top 5 tips to get your sleep environment right. And
cool. So that's sort of, we've got smell, we've got single purpose bedroom, we've got sounds and noise control, we've got temperature control, we've got light control. It's probably just depending on your situation. Those top 3, the sound, temperature, and light, sound like they're things that you can control quite easily. Thanks for that, and we'll include that list in the notes. Is there any final words around how people should approach their room when it comes to these 5 elements?
I think most of the time, most simple and the basic solution works. You don't need to overcomplicate things. So if you Google, you may find really a wide range of different things, that mattresses to pillows to different beds to smart lighting. You don't have to go those complex paths unless it's your passion and the hobby, but most of the time, the most simple basic things work for you. So just get the basics right, and it will help.
Good advice. Keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. Right. We don't have to overcomplicate. That's it for today's episode, fellow Snooze Strategists. We hope you found our tips valuable in helping you create a more sleep-inducing bedroom. And before you doze off, don't forget to hit the like button if you are watching on YouTube. And if you want to keep getting free tips, to make sure to subscribe to our channel or follow the podcast. Until then, we're Alex and Ashen, your trusty Snooze Strategists, reminding you to catch those Z's and keep dreaming of a well-rested world. Sweet dreams, and see you next time.